Hundreds of people came together today to celebrate the life of Jack Hare, activist, author, and cannabis warrior known around the world. His friends from 30, 40 years ago, as well as other family and people that have done business with him, shared some of the most fantastic, happy, and even sad times with each other today.
Jack Hare was a visionary, a great leader, a passionate warrior for the cause of hemp activism and cannabis legalization. His book enlightened many people, opened millions of minds. It was probably the single most important document in the struggle for hemp legalization.
Lock him up for pot is a criminal. I mean, of all things, for smoking a fairly mild euphoriant, because that's about the worst you can say of it. They are imprisoned and have their whole futures cut away from them. They lose all opportunity in life because with that thing hanging on them, they go nowhere. They're stuck like raisins in the pie. So I'm horrified by the way we tolerate things. You know, lying is a real criminal offense. That's right there with cheating and stealing. You know?
We've been shortchanged, and Jack was somebody who showed us where we were being shortchanged.
Sorrow can enlarge the domain of our life, so that we may now understand the triviality of the things that many pursue. What is important is not luxury but love, not wealth but wisdom, not gold but goodness. There are several designated speakers. I'm going to call first on Gatewood Galbraith.
And he stood for human freedom, as far as I can tell, in this generation, more so than just about anybody else that I ever heard of. He gave us the tools and the knowledge and compiled it out of the government's own studies and in the government's own words and gave it to us as a gospel which we could go out and spread about in opposition to and to arm us to fight against this huge effort on behalf of the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate fascist.
When I first met him that first day, I realized that I had a brother in beliefs, certainly about the fact that God gave us this plant, and I think we should all rededicate ourselves to the job that Jack did. Well, I'll never forget when Ronald Reagan came to the federal building in West LA, demonstrating, and they had all these signs with marijuana leaves and this and that. And Ronald Reagan, again, another perfect example of vacuumless leadership, went inside and asked one of his closest advisors, why are all these people, why are all these Canadians so upset? I mean, that shows where he's coming from. He thought the marijuana leaf was the Canadian maple leaf. Jack, to carry on the fight, and hopefully the truth will set us free.
I shot all 3 covers of Jack Hare for the cover of High Times, and all these photos that you see, not the family photos of course, are by me. So I want to be known henceforth as the man who shot Jack Hare. This was about my 3rd year with the magazine, and I still thought that High Times was really just a temporary stop for me. Didn't take the marijuana industry or the movement that seriously. It was just a stepping stone. Then I went down to Arizona, met all these incredible hempsters who were starting up the first Hemp Industries Association. And there was Jack. Now Jack was not really part of the Hemp Industries Association because he was whipping them. He wanted them to put down on paper a very, very cogent statement in support of the marijuana in all its forms. Okay? Now the Hemp Industries Association dragged their feet a little bit, and there was a big debate. And Jack took on the whole room, and he said, until these people are out of jail, until this plant is legal in all its forms, then you guys have a responsibility. We got to get hemp growing in an American soil, and we've got to get all these poor people out of jail. This is absolutely.
Hey, Jack. Oh, he's not here. But he is here. I've never been in a hemp event where Jack Hare wasn't. Always here somewhere. And in fact, I see him in each and every one of you today. In some ways, it feels like it's the end of an era, but in another way, you know, Jack's life marks the beginning of an era. An era where people woke up to what was going on around them. They woke up to the mistakes that were being made, and they woke up to the lies that were drowning us all. And if you didn't know, if you didn't ever get mad at Jack, and Jack never got mad at you, you probably didn't know him very well. I ask you to walk out of here knowing that this is the year, not of the end of Jack's legacy, but the beginning of a world of freedom.
My dad would be very proud right now. You know, my dad,
Take your time, brother.
it's all right, Dad. I love you, man. You know, long before all of this, he was about as straight and completely ignorant and completely ignorant of everything that he came to love. He was an amazing father. If you look at the photos of his family in these pictures, that joy we saw every time we were able to spend time with him. And though he spent a lot of time away from our family and our teens and our adult lives, missing birthdays, births, we all knew how much he loved us. And he always knew and carried with him how much we loved him. Going back to the ignorance of my father, he once chastised my mother back in the 60s because he found her smoking pot. If you ever smoke pot in my home again, we will be getting a divorce. Again, the ignorance of somebody who was an ex-military, very Goldwater loving, very misguided soul, walked into the corner liquor store to buy some cigarettes. And there was somebody in front of him asking for some zigzags. Oh, he says, you roll your own. She turned to him and said, doesn't everybody? He goes, no, I buy them in the pack. He was a husband to few. He was a lover to many. But he was always a father to us. By no big surprise, was also the black sheep of his family. Completely misunderstood, including by his young family, his sons. And most anybody who knew him didn't understand where this passion and drive was going. We just knew that he had completely lost his mind. But his family, as much as they disagreed with him, they loved him in the shadows, in public. he was shot for the cover of High Times. His sister sent her husband down to the local magazine shop wearing a trench coat to go pick up the magazine with their brother's photo on it, which happens to be Jack Herr as Santa.